In an interview, Dr. Aranda explains that the supermoon is an event when a full moon is in its closest orbit to the Earth. It can happen multiple times a year, but last year was different. During that supermoon, 1 billion people violently transformed into werewolves for the entire night. They don't know what brought about this change, but there is another supermoon tonight, so Aranda tells all people to stay in their houses and avoid exposure. He adds that scientists are working day and night to find a cure for those infected. Meanwhile, Wesley looks after his sister-in-law Lucy in Nisama now that his brother is dead. Using his experience as a former military man, Wesley spends the whole day creating traps to protect the house from those werewolves. Bear traps are strewn about the garden. Pepper spray and electric wires stretch out along the fence, security cameras are installed in all corners, and barbed wires cover the roof. While at work, Wesley sees Cody, the neighbor, practicing his shooting and orders him to stop because there are children on the streets. Cody doesn't care, he needs to train since he has already seen that the werewolves are already terrorizing Japan and Australia. At the same time, another neighbor, Reagan, brings some cookies to cheer up Emma since today is the anniversary of her father's death. To thank her, Lucy gives some extra batteries and pepper spray to her. Later, when Reagan leaves, Wesley declares that the house must remain locked for the rest of the day and lists the rules one more time to Lucy. They shouldn't open the door for anybody, not even make a noise, not draw any attention, and not waste time to shoot. Since Wesley works for the Centers for Disease Control or CDC, he's on duty tonight and apologizes to Emma and Lucy for leaving. Once he's gone, Lucy locks all the doors and windows. Downtown, the military has taken over the streets. A curfew is about to start, so buses are picking homeless people to send them to shelters. Wesley is suspicious of any person who appears unusual and winces at the negative omens. When Wesley finally reaches the CDC facility, Aranda introduces him to the press as the head of the Global Rapid Response Team and head molecular biologist. The second in command is Evan and Amy as chief canis lupus biologist and behavioralist. Aranda explains that the supermoon causes rapid DNA mutation and is photosensitive to moonlight. Tonight the CDC hope to find a way to block this mutation, and so far they have come up with a liquid called moonscreen which should act as a barrier between the moonlight and DNA. If it goes well, it could be developed into a cure. He finishes the conference by telling everyone to stay indoors. Later, everyone goes inside the facility and all the exit points are sealed. Amy waits at the door of her apartment for her boyfriend Miles. Last year he had turned into a werewolf. She recalls their final kiss and him saying that deciding to volunteer in the experiment was on his own discretion. Miles is locked within a cage due to the instinct of a supermoon that marks its arrival. Feeling that it would come, they then don special suits equipped with digital screens on the visors showing the vitals of their test subjects. The scientists put moonscreen drops on the volunteers' eyes, then spray their whole bodies with moonscreen as well. One of the test subjects starts having second thoughts because she's scared, but her concerns are ignored. Miles tries to calm her down while the last two volunteers are already going crazy with excitement. Then the ceiling is opened to let the moonlight in, but none of the test subjects transforms, which means the moonscreen works. Aranda immediately orders the team to take samples to start working on a cure. Wesley and Aranda view the samples and realize the mutation is some sort of immunological defense system. They conclude that the supermoon is triggering a dormant defense response, but they cannot understand why it only became reactive last year. Suddenly Miles starts transforming, which means the effect of the moonscreen only lasts 60 minutes. Evan pushes the machine in an attempt to spray him again, but Miles reaches through the bars and grabs it. Evan freezes at that moment when the other test subjects begin transforming as well. As Amy orders her assistants to close the ceiling, Miles pushes the spraying machine which crashes against the cage and a bunch of equipment. This causes a short circuit that interferes with the power and prevents the ceiling from closing completely. The test subjects continue to transform into terrifying beasts while many of the machines start to explode and spread the damage. Most scientists start running, but Aranda's suit is damaged by one of the explosions and his body is exposed to the moonlight, so his DNA is starting to react too. Wesley pinning Aranda down, Evan locating a tranquilizer, fails to get the shot in time. Aranda completes the transformation and his new hairy body breaks free of the protective suit, slashing at Evan with his claws. Then, a scientist starts shooting, and the werewolf runs away, but some of the stray bullets open other cages. While Wesley takes bleeding Evan to the other room, other werewolves flee and start killing scientists with weapons. The room is covered by smoke from explosion and electricity gone off. In this state of confusion, each of the armed scientists was kidnapped one after the other in darkness. One werewolf grabbed a weapon-wielding man and hurled it through the window to make an exit. In the corridors, the remaining staff is attempting to evacuate, but soon the werewolves get there too and continue killing. When Amy is jolted by a falling body, she meets up with Wesley and Evan again. As they try to fiddle with the infirmary lock, a werewolf drops another body nearby and starts walking towards them. Luckily they open the door in time and run to the infirmary when a soldier is just about to fire a bullet into this creature. Finally, they manage to kill this monster. Wesley and Amy then attempt to tend to Evan's wound, however, he had bled too much, and thus died. Amy freaks out and wants to go find Miles, but Wesley stops her, pointing out her boyfriend is now a violent monster and she can't do anything. When Amy says they should stay in the infirmary and wait for help, Wesley informs her that the rest of the staff has already evacuated and it's just a matter of time before one of the other werewolves breaks the door. Back in town, howling can be heard in the neighborhood and the lights flicker as power starts to malfunction. Reagan can't find her mother but hears some weird noises. Unaware there's a werewolf in the kitchen, Lucy checks the security cameras and sees another beast running down the street. The werewolf climbs a tree in the garden and Cody opens fire from his window. All his shots miss, and the werewolf moves forward to break the window and let moonlight into the house. Now Cody's DNA reacts, and he also starts transforming. In the facility, Amy and Wesley sneak very cautiously so that no werewolf notices them till they reach the armory where they suited up and grabbed as much weaponry as possible. Then they put moonscreen in their eyes and spray any exposed skin before setting 60 minutes on their watches. Wesley makes Amy promise that if either of them turns, the other will shoot. On their way out they come across Miles, so Amy shoots a light bulb to distract him with the sparks while they escape. The duo gets in Wesley's car and drives off as fast as possible. Wesley calls Lucy and she shares what she's seen on the cameras. At that moment Reagan appears outside, begging Lucy to let her in because a werewolf killed her mother and she doesn't want to be alone. Lucy wants to help but Wesley reminds her that opening the door is dangerous. While they argue, a werewolf attacks Reagan and quickly kills her too. Since Wesley is distracted by the phone call, he crashes the car into a bus. The call ends and Lucy has a panic attack while hearing Reagan screams as she's murdered. The werewolf attacking her is Cody, who pushes his body against the fence to activate the electric trap. Lucy sees him on the cameras and activates the pepper spray to keep him at bay. In the car, Amy and Wesley start crawling out before the flames reach them. Wesley realizes he dropped his phone but there's no time to go back for it and Amy has to drag him away. Now the duo has no choice but to continue on foot and makes sure to stay hidden when they find some werewolves destroying a bunch of cars. They carefully move behind some parked vehicles to keep advancing. But unfortunately more beasts appear on the other end of the street and now the duo is surrounded. To take cover, they hide under a car and make an effort to stay silent while the wolves keep on breaking things. The beast even sniffs their car, but luckily it doesn't find them and soon the wolves leave the street. When Amy and Wesley come out, the watch alarm goes off to remind them they need to take moonscreen again. The werewolves hear this and start chasing after them, so the duo has to run. Amy notices a mall's gate's about to close, so they hurry up and slide under the gate right before it touches the ground, leaving the furious werewolves outside. There is a kid over there who calls out to follow him, and as the duo follows him, they see that there are lots of people locked behind all the different store gates. Wesley realizes it is a marketplace with underground tunnels by which they might be able to cross the city safely. Suddenly, a blade appears around Amy's neck, and masked people who dwell down here threaten to attack them. A desperate Wesley explains he only wants to reach his family, so the mysterious group agrees to guide them to the tunnel entrance. Meanwhile, Lucy checks the cameras again and discovers Cody has been howling to summon more werewolves. Minutes later, Amy and Wesley finish crossing the tunnel, but before they can open the exit gate, a werewolf appears behind them. The pair attempts to open fire, but the werewolf knocks them down before it begins throwing Wesley around. When he falls to the ground, he finds a metal pipe and uses it to stab the werewolf, who spits blood all over Wesley before it drops dead. Now he and Amy can keep going and make it to the door, but they need to reapply moonscreen first. Unfortunately, the liquid has gotten too hot to be useful now. Seeing a store open nearby, the couple covers themselves with some tarp and runs to storm into the building. They break the door in the process and the alarm activates, so Amy rushes to destroy it before it could alert the werewolves. Then Wesley puts the moonscreen in the fridge and now they have to wait. Later, he hears a weird noise and follows the sound to locate a child inside the store. To his astonishment, the kid has transformed to and is now devouring a cat. He cannot shoot the child, but fortunately, Amy has a teaser and knocks out the creature immediately. In town, the beasts manage to demolish half of the cameras at Lucy's place. Then they start pounding their large bodies into the fence to trigger the electrical trap, which causes the lights in the house to go haywire. The noises prompt Lucy to prepare her weapon before going out to inspect the remaining cameras. The werewolves start pounding down a tree that falls onto the fence and destroys the power lines. The entire house goes dark, but Wesley had made sure his family had enough flashlights. When the werewolves cross the fence, Lucy and Emma run through the house in an attempt to turn on all the lights available. One of the werewolves gets his leg stuck in a bear trap. Soon, Lucy can hear them climbing onto the roof. She runs around the rooms inside her home and shoots at the ceiling to ensure that the beasts do not climb further inside the house. It seems to be working, but she eventually runs out of bullets and must risk a pause to reload. Back to Amy and Wesley. They return to the street after taking the cooled moonscreen. They come across a group of people in gear shooting at the werewolves in the area with impressive efficiency, using teamwork and heavy weaponry to keep the beasts at bay. Once the werewolves are gone or dead, Amy and Wesley try asking these people for help. However, they don't believe that the duo is protected by some mysterious liquid and an argument ensues. Suddenly a werewolf reappears and kills one of the men, so his partners open fire. Wesley and Amy run to duck behind a car as another warrior is captured by a beast who devours half his face. A stray bullet shatters the car window, and Amy spins around dazed for a couple of minutes, so Wesley has to defend her, shooting at a werewolf which approaches them. An extra big werewolf jumped from a roof with an explosion against a light post, then landed right down the middle of the road. The truck man was out shooting within an instant. It threw in his way and just used it like a shield with a human body before launching him off into throwing the guy from the truck. As the man is dragged under the vehicle to be devoured, Amy realizes that the wolves are forming a kill circle and they need to leave before they are surrounded. Wanting to test a theory, Amy volunteers to be a distraction. She comes out of hiding and yells to get the attention of the wolves. The big one smells her and punches her in the stomach, but doesn't kill her. She shrieks at it and the wolf howls back, giving Wesley time to leap aboard the truck and open fire. It takes a lot of bullets, but he can take down the big lycanthrope and other beasts run away in fear. Then Wesley jumps into the driver's seat and tells Amy to join him. However, when she comes closer, hairy hand takes her away. A desolate Wesley peeks out, but can't see her, and he knows he doesn't have any time to save her. Guilt washes over him, and he leaves. Lucy continues shooting at the werewolves through the ceiling as she instructs Emma to hide. When a wolf finally makes it up to the area above the living room, Lucy shoots again, opening a large hole in the ceiling. Now moonlight is pouring through. She gets up and runs to the front door, which the wolf shakes as if it might open. Lucy shoots at the door and punctures more holes until she exhausts her ammunition. Desperate, Lucy seizes a knife for herself and the bear repellent spray for Emma. Meanwhile, a werewolf breaks into the house through the wood cover over the window, so Emma and Lucy sprint to the bedroom to hide there. The werewolf is following his nose and about to find them, but goes back when he heard a noise from outside. He was Wesley honking the horn at the four beasts blocking the street. He increased his speed in the truck and began running over the wolves one by one under the rain. The final creature decides to jump onto the truck to try and stop it, so Wesley crashes the truck right into Cody's garage. Meanwhile in the bedroom, Lucy and Anna believe that the night is over only until before they could step out, a werewolf breaks through the wall. The two ladies run and Lucy pushes Emma inside the closet where she hides behind a door with her knife. A wolf finds Emma first and breaks the wooden door, so she activates the spray to scare it off. Meanwhile, a second beast enters the other room, and Lucy waits for just the right moment to jump on it, but the wolf easily throws her atop the dresser. Then, Emma emerges behind it and drives the fallen knife into it. This is just in time to give Lucy an opportunity to find an axe to smite it once and for all. In just a matter of seconds, Wesley enters the house and re-establishes his relationship with his family. Having satisfied himself that they are fine, he tells them to hide since he can hear the wolf coming in from the garage. There were only 15 minutes left before sunrise, and they have no bullets, so there is only a very crazy thing he can do. Wesley says goodbye to his family and gives Lucy his watch with a 15-minute alarm. When he steps outside, the Cody werewolf is waiting. He looks right at the moon and soon he starts transforming too, which is a sacrifice that proves how much he wants to protect his loved ones. After some roaring, Cody and Wesley start fighting. Even in wolf form, Wesley's military experience comes through and he easily overpowers Cody. In just a few moves, Wesley uses his bare paws to decapitate the enemy. Lucy watches all of this from through the holes in the wall and scared to death, rushes up to hide Emma in the wardrobe. It then dawns upon her to reach for a fallen bullet on the ground, so she gets set with her rifle before she breaks into begging of Wesley to remember her family. Her words aren't enough to stop him from bursting through a sealed back door, thus Lucy shows him a picture of his brother next. This doesn't work either and Wesley roars, making her fall. Lucy has no choice but to get ready to shoot, but suddenly the watch alarm goes off. Remembering Wesley's words, Lucy shoots at the window instead, allowing the sunlight to come in. When she looks up, Wesley is human again.